Hey guys, State Zaner here, and today we are root pruning and working on this behemoth of a cedar. So this tree is I've had for 2 years now. It's just been growing and putting on a lot of foliage. So now you can see it's starting to get, it's out of frame. It's so tall. But really, it's time to get these roots done and get it into another pot, a training pot, which is just going to be a cylinder right now, a colander, but I put mesh in it, and it's right here. So it's mesh tied down. And the reason we're doing this, it's going to sit about there. And again, we're going to be cutting a lot of this down when we start to work on it. So don't worry too much about how tall it is. If it's going to fit in here, it will. But the reason we're transitioning to something so airy is because this is some very heavy clay in here, and come this spring, when it's officially spring and we work this tree, this is going to get really hard cut back. And we're going to even make some cuts today, but for some of these really big tall long branches, but we're also going to leave quite a bit on here. So it's early March, it's the right time of the year. Here in Missouri, it's close to the 50s every day, if not in. We have a couple days next week in the first week of March where it's going to actually be in the 60s. So for how early it is, spring is just around the corner, but it's temperature wise right now, there's no reason that we shouldn't be working on these trees. So please leave a like, share, subscribe, leave a comment if you have any questions. And if you like the work I do here, please donate to my GoFundMe and help me get to Japan as soon as possible. So without further ado, let's bring you in. I'm going to show you where, kind of like where the root line is. I don't think it's the top of where the Nabari starts, and I'll show you why. But we got roots up here, and we're going to have to work through those. So let's get into it. Let's show you what we're seeing and get to it. Okay, so you can see the root base here. And the reason I don't think it's the root base is because it's not starting to flare out anywhere. As we turn it, it doesn't seem to be flaring anywhere. And what I mean is where it starts to go like swooping down, it's just going straight. So that's why I think a lot of this is still buried under here. So I don't think any of this all up in here, these roots here, are really helpful. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get to digging. And when I find that spot, I'll bring you guys back. I don't want to bore you guys with this entire process. It's going to take a long time to get all this clay out. We want to get it all washed off, all gone. So we're going to have to hose it down a couple times and everything else. So it's going to be a lot of work today. So hopefully I can get this tree done and get it in. So I'm just going to hop to it and hope you bring you guys back when I find something. So thanks. So I just wanted to show you guys, just take that root hook and pull, gently start to pry out some of those spots. And like I said, we'll just continue as you spray to get rid of this dirt, this clay that's just a monstrosity. It's awful for your tree. It doesn't let the roots breathe. They get really cramped in there. And then if the clay dries out, like if it gets too hot or the clay dries out, your whole tree will die because that clay just is so hard to resaturate. So I've been wanting to do this for like a little over a year now. And last spring, I kind of missed the opportunity on this tree. I had other trees that I had worked, had to go first, that I care a little bit more about. So this one didn't get done, but this, I got time this year. It's happening right now. It's the right time of year. I'm not missing anything. So we're just going to get in there and continue doing what I was doing and continue spraying out as I go. Keep these roots wet. I'm really liking how fibrous they are. I mean, they're beautiful, beautiful roots, very few thick ones. So most of them are very fibrous. So I think this tree is going to make a full recovery. So that's great news as well. So we're just going to keep doing this, keep pulling a little bit, keep spraying, keep working. And I will come back potentially with a final update, show you what I found one more time, and we'll be able to get to it. So Thank you. This is what I'm ended up with. And my flare is right here. So basically from here to here was buried about a good 4 inches. And it grew a lot of upper roots that were kind of strangling out some of these bottom ones. So what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna cut these off. So it's been about an hour of spraying, raking. Sometimes that clay is just so hard to get off. I mean, it's just impossible to get in here. And I didn't know what I was finding, what I was going to find. So I just kind of waited. So if we come down, now you can kind of see that flare. You can kind of see that flare I was talking about where it comes down and into the soil line, right? So we're just gonna go and we're gonna have to leave some roots that I don't know if I really want to. But because we're taking off so many up top and whatnot, we might just have to deal with it, because I don't want anything above our root plane really existing. So we're gonna cut these small roots on the top off. And I'm noticing this base is actually really bad. It's got some massive taper, some massive growth. I don't know. You know, who knows what was going on. So, you know, that's just the risk you take with nursery stock. And you can improve it. So that's why we're here. So we're here to talk about ways to improve, make better, and continue to grow our bonsai. So we're kind of getting to this root plane right here. We're cutting off all the stuff above. Let me give it one more spray. We'll look at what I got after that, because I think we'll be mostly there. But like I said, let's give it one more good spray and we'll see what we got. All right, so we're back. So this is kind of what we're left with the roots here. This side has next to nothing. So until you get really, really low down in here. So what I'm gonna do is go and continue to work up here. I'm gonna get rid of some of these upper ones still. And then we're gonna really have to thin out this side to encourage root growth in other places. And then we'll talk about burying and planting on this tree. So I'm gonna start by just cutting stuff off that's growing up on this. It doesn't need to be here. That big root up here can go. So at least now we're kind of working on all the same level down here. Nice. So, you know, this tree, you know, when you're first doing it, you gotta just take your time, go through, and be prepared for just about anything, honestly. You never know what you're gonna find on a nursery stock, so it could be. Okay. So now I'm just gonna go and thin this side out pretty heavily here. And the reason I'm doing that is to balance the vigor in all the roots, because there's a lot more on this side per like mass comparatively. What I want to do is make sure that we're leaving you know, as close to an equal number of roots as possible. I'm going to chop off some of these roots growing straight down and back in towards the center of the tree. They don't need to be there. That's not ideal. So we kind of want a, you know, radial circle coming in. So we want to clear out some of these roots that are growing just straight into the tree here. So we are back. So we got it sprayed. We got a nice fibrous base. It looks healthy. So the next step is to get the pot ready to be planted and figure out a planting angle for it. I'm thinking Oh man, this thing is gonna need some major work to try and hide some taper or something. I don't know. But is that bulge right there where all those roots were growing at the top really made that thick compared to the base down here. Man. And that'll thicken up over time. It will. It's just a question of how long, and maybe I can make a gin piece out of it or something, like, a gin feature coming down or something like that, to distract from that. So for now though, I'm thinking somewhere like, I'm looking at it, so it'll be somewhere like in there to try to distract from that. So I'm gonna go, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this, we're gonna fill it with a little bit of soil, we're gonna cut this to make it fit just a little bit better, put some soil, soil in here, cut the roots, tie it down into the soil, and then we'll take some, our root chopstick, work it in, give it a good water, and we'll be done. So let me go ahead, grab that, and then I'll be right back. And like I said, the reason we're using a colander is so that we can get a lot of air in here as well. So it's gonna be super airy, super, super fresh for it. And that'll help it recover a lot faster. Okay, so if we're gonna plant it there, we're gonna take our root scissors and just go cut around. Make sure that it's everything's gonna fit in. Nothing's gonna stick out too bad. Looks like it's gonna fit nice and pretty in there with that as the front right there. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna snake it through some roots, tie it down, and I'll be right back. All right, guys, so it's stable in the pot. So now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna add soil around, start working it in with the chopstick, find those air pockets, and then what we'll do is I'll show you a little bit of that process, and then we'll clean up. I'll come back, do my outro, and say goodbye to you guys. So let's get this planted. All right, guys, so it's repotted, watered. And we're back to where we were. So the piece I'm going to cut off, that is going to be this big piece right here, and that's going to remove a lot of the top. And the reason I'm doing that is because I'm going to use this and this here to create what I want to. We're not going to use this big one over here, and I kind of want to make a funky gin piece, like a weird deadwood chunk out of this, to try and take your eye away from this inverse taper. So I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna cut that out, and then we're gonna do the outro, and yeah, so I'll be right back. And all right, guys, that's took off the top, makes it a lot smaller, and that's the end of it for today. So like I said, if you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment if you have any questions. As always, my GoFundMe is open, so if you want to donate, please do. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter. And without further ado, sayonara. I'll just bid you adieu. Thank you. Sayonara, guys. Have a good one. Thank you for being on this journey with me.